I can see your screen, Sébastien.
Thank you.
By the way, please record the meeting on Thursday because I'm not going to be able to attend it.
What? Need to cancel. Okay. How many? 15. I think Bertrand is not joining because he's on vacation in France, I assume. But France is represented by Script, Thierry Fleury, myself, one, we win. Canada is very small. Like we have shown, maybe one more. And Christian, wow! Forgot about Christian. Script from Canada? No way. Okay, 2 from Canada. But he's from Quebec, it's not really Canada.
So what is it, France then?
They don't know actually. Well, ask Canada, they will say, no, they're in Quebec, it's not Canada. They don't speak the same language. Okay, so today, any demo today? Isn't Zoltan joining?
He should be.
So I show no demo from him right now.
But
Just next week.
I don't think we have
year.
the...
When to say next week, it means next year. See, I told you last week to wait for... Okay, PowerShell, I assume then. Stanley wants to show something, okay? So Stanley... I assume... Is Sipke here? Yeah, Sipke, you will show something?
No, not today.
What? Why? He doesn't want. Okay. Weird. Okay. Nick? Is he here? He's not here. Where is Nick? No Nick today. Mission 2? Daniel, you want to show something? Nobody cares. So I will show you something. Then. See. You go first. First we'll do the status because I will talk about what I will show. And again, lots of activity during the past week. So we'll start from here. This is about layouts. This is about RTL support. So Nick continued the work on the RTL branch. This is the branch from Lambic about the NuGet feature. This is still layout because he worked on that. This is my work on RTL. Stanley fixing some bugs from MediaLibrary. I think we already saw that last week. So let's go more here. So RTL work from Nick, a fix from Lambic. Standalone environments have their LifetimeScope disposed as well. Yes, I remember this one. We worked on it. So, oh yeah. So this issue is interesting. Is Zoltan here? Did he join? No. So let me explain you. So the Lambic guys, Zoltan and Benedek, found on their .NET that there were some memory leak, we say.
Yeah.
Because of the shell LifetimeScopes. The issue is that when we create dynamic work context to execute something like in a transaction, in background task, it creates a lifetime scope, like a container for Autofac. And this dynamic lifetime scope was lost and should actually be disposed because it will host some resolved objects. One of them creating a connection to database, so it could be important in terms of memory. So he found the issue and it has been fixed. So now it's disposed correctly when created dynamically. This one is just to make it more safe so that it's automatically disposed when finalized.
Actually, sorry, Sébastien.
Sorry?
We weren't creating them dynamically. This was because of TryOrchard. So we are basically running a full setup of a tenant every 12 minutes. And
so this is how you saw that. Okay, but it's also happening for background tasks.
Yeah, right.
So that should be the same issue, actually. Yep, and then so this is from Benedek fixing a local content picker issue with conflicting content picker fields, and this is a fix to the fix to the fix, applying dispose, which was new then everywhere, where we will dispose the scope directly. Let's call this scope dispose under the shell context, which will dispose the lifetime scope. So this is about it. So this is on 18x, and it should fix a memory issue, and probably it will probably fix also some locking that we could see on database sometimes. Something locking the database in read or write. It might be related to that because it was creating a session factory, which was not disposed. So that might explain, and we'll see with Christian. Then I pushed these changes on 1.x because they were quite important, and started to upgrade some libraries to the latest versions, specifically the ASP.NET MVC 5.2. So this is in 1.x only. We are using MVC 5.2, and the changes are in web config mainly. So this is MVC 5.2. It's also the new and updated Razor and an updated web API. They don't have new version numbers. Okay, they are just new version, but the same version number, so we don't have to change the web config for that. And this should work. You see Razor, new web pages deployment. Am I using the latest one? I think there is a newer version I need to use actually to test. It's in internal work. Then I updated to JSON.NET 6.04, the latest of the latest, but there is no new assembly version, so this is there is no change to apply. And then a bigger change, .NET Framework 4.5.1. I'm not sure we mentioned it, I think I did, but every machine should have 4.5.1 already. If you have 4.5, don't worry, I'm sure you have 4.5.1 because it's part of Windows Update. So we decided to move to 4.5.1, which changes all the project files. Why is it changed? Oh. So all the project files are changed now to target 4.5.1. The nice thing is for Christian, who has done a patch to use a new kind of connection, which is retrying connections if a connection has been lost. So this will enable some new scenarios in 1.x. We'll look at it. So MVC 5.2, JSON.NET 4.5. I'm jumping here to also Autofac 3.5.2. So they fixed the issue that we will have had with Orchard. Nick mentioned it, and then I've upgraded to 3.5.2. And I also updated SqlCE. And a question from Nick was about, but didn't we update already to that? Or are they still working on that? Actually, no. This version is 3 years old, but we never upgraded to the service pack of SqlCE. We are still using a 4 years old version. And I think it's official on the website that they are not working on that. They are not adding new features or fixing stuff. So this is the same version as 3 years earlier. Okay, this is fine. Fixed from Zoltan, I assume. Then, comment from Christian. Getting rid of SQL Azure. Yes, this SQL Azure connection that we have for Hibernate and doesn't seem to work. Based on Christian feedback. So we'll see how we can fix it now in OneNotex. Then SqlCE. Then I tried to include.
Hey Sébastien, a question about SqlCE. Would it be an option for us for Orchard to use local DB, which is kind of the sequel to SqlCE, if you will?
So who asked the question? I think Nick asked the question by Skype, and the answer was okay. Let's look maybe, but local DB requires SQL Server to be installed. But sorry, wait, no. Let me finish. So this is what he says. He said SqlCE requires SQL Server to be installed, but I think that it's same thing for SqlCE. You install it using an MSI, but then you can redistribute only the DLLs if you want. It's an embeddable database. So this is possible that local storage again works with just some DLLs and no server. That's possible.
Yeah.
I've never used it. Yeah. So if someone wants to try that, to make a local DB storage and with an embedded solution, like no server install, that will be fine, totally fine.
Well, I'd like to try it. Maybe I'll give it a go.
Great. So I worked on the SQLite branch from Eric to rebase it, to integrate it in Orchard, and I did some perf test. From what I remembered, SQLite was very fast, much faster than SqlCE. And because SqlCE is not supported, I'm thinking that SQLite might be a good solution to be the default one. But then I redid the perf test on my machine. I could get 40 requests per second using SqlCE. I could only get 20 requests per second with SQLite, which is surprising because from what I remember, it was much faster than SqlCE. So I must be missing something. I didn't check the log. Maybe there was an exception I didn't pay attention to. I was hoping actually that Eric would be at the meeting, talk about it with him. So we'll see. I do some more testing to see what's the issue, because it used to be very fast. That's weird. But it's pending. I'd like to get the SQLite, maybe local storage too. We'll see. Then this is some work from Sipke on the layout. He's been working on that for a long time. This is a new branch I haven't pushed yet, but I'm making it, putting it in the main repository because some people want to work on that. So what I did is I just took the work I had done from my backup fork, refactored it a little bit, and tried if it was still working, and put it on the branch here. I will push it very soon. Yeah, so we can progress on this feature, and if someone wants to progress on this feature. So REST API branch, I will push it. Then, this is also an important issue. Some of you have raised the issue that you could not search on the content type. And the issue was that when indexed, the content type is not analyzed because it's a technical value. You should not tokenize a content type. Tokenizing meaning with the standard analyzer, like the lowercasing it, or splitting a word into two, or ignoring some words. So it's because it's a technical value, content type, we don't analyze it when we index it. But at the same time, in the search builder, every time you will use a with field, it was doing a to lower to the value of the string. Which means in the storage it's still uppercase if the content type has uppercase, but the search term would be lowercase. So this was not working. So the issue is that we should use the same value for analyze or tokenize during the indexing and during the search. So now what it is doing, there is a new method on the search builder which will let you say if you want it analyzed or not. By default, it will be analyzed because this is the default behavior for the search, but you can say not analyzed. And now so if you want to search for the content type for technical value, so let's here, I should show you the full version. Okay, so now in this example, if we index something here, like this value, it's .store, okay? There is no .analyze, because you can say during the indexing, analyze. And for the content type, this is the same thing. We say store, because we want to store the value and being able to read it back. And we don't analyze, because we don't want to change the value of this, okay? We want exactly that store and indexed in the storage. So if you don't use .analyze, then when you do a search for these values, you will have to do .not analyzed, okay, to say that this term should not be tokenized, should not be lowercase and split into multiple values. So this is a new element to put your search index to search API calls if you want it to not be analyzed. And there is no breaking change. This is still on 1.x, but there is no breaking change because it was analyzed by default before. Now you put not analyzed to not analyze things.
Does this mean, by the way, that we have to re-index all the content items?
No, because it was indexed correctly. It was indexed without analysis. So it is the correct value in the indexes. But the search was breaking the search field that you would put. So if you were doing search blog post in uppercase, it will actually search for a blog post in lowercase, but it was indexed as uppercase. Okay?
I see, cool.
Now you say not analyzed to tell the searcher not to lowercase it and tokenize it also. So it's using the analyzer that the search index is using. This is not really saying lowercase or not lowercase. This is saying analyze the field and don't analyze the field. This is much better because it will depend on each analyzer. Some analyzers want lowercase, some of them want use white space as a tokenizer, so things like that. Work from SqlCE on forms. Well, so because he doesn't want to show it, he's working and it's public. He's working on forms module using his layout. This was actually the original intent of his dynamic layout module, but he won't show you. So he's free. So fixing MediaLibrary picker field, which has the same issues as a content item picker field when you're using multiple of them, I assume. And then fixing the build, because when I do push some stuff, I break the build. RTL work from Nick. So Nick, you were not here when we asked. Do you want to show something for RTL, the new stuff?
Hey guys, by the way, I could show maybe the theme machine in RTL.
Yeah.
I'll get back to you because I'm not sure whether it's
we have the demos before. That's fine. Fixing build, fixing compilation. You see, I'm just fixing what I break. Then I removed some assemblies we actually were not using. Windows Fabric. I fixed the project because it was not including placement info as content. SqlCE. Upgrading Azure Solution references. What is that? Yeah, removing the. Oh yeah, Daniel always reminds me that when I change the web config file, I always forget about the Azure Solutions one. Then adding binary regex on Autofac from it test because we changed the version number. Then RTL work. Daniel on calendars and Persian calendar. I don't know what you merged here. Oh, Daniel, Daniel.
I'm here. I have a feeling I'm going to get yelled at.
This is just that when I see that, it means that you did some changes locally, that you committed on your local repository, and then when you pull with the merge option, which is the default one, which means you will merge your own one.txt branch with the official one.txt branch. And this makes, like you see, merging one.txt into one.txt, something like that.
Yeah, I know. I've seen it before. Sometimes I remember to kind of work around it with the command line, but most of the time I forget. But if you could show me how to do that in Visual Studio, the Git integration.
So I think there is an option too, but it's very easy. When you pull, I will click on the pull dialog. There are multiple options. Merge, which is the default, but rebase, it's better. Because
what tool are you using?
This is Git extensions. This is very simple.
Okay, I don't have that. I use the built-in Git support in VS 2013.
But it should be as simple as git push, and there is a rebase option, something like that. So when you, git pull rebase. What is new? You see, git pull dash.
Right. So sometimes I remember to do that with the command line. I wish there was an option for it in VS though, but I don't think there is.
I will ask. But this way you avoid that.
Yeah, I got it. I'll try harder.
Then adding support for tokens in element editor scripts. Okay, elements, yeah, you're right. So you can use tokens in the ID, classes, and styles if you want of your dynamic layout. Git extensions is better than the Git support. Yeah, okay, that's an opinion. I'm using that because I like it. It's very straightforward to do stuff, and I can have a command line, so it's very simple. Incremental work, Lombic, fixed and malformed content item display preview URL cause exception instead of 404. Okay, if an ID doesn't exist and you are looking for an ID for something, we return a 404 and not an exception. That's it. Yeah, it was still returning. Okay. If ID equals new. Okay. Preventing some exceptions. Okay. Changing logging levels. Okay, I don't mind. Adding logging to shell. Okay, more logging. That's cool. Factoring. You see the people who use multi-tenancy. They need more logging when tenants are created and instantiated. So more RTL work from Nick. Then last commit on 1.8x is adding the tenant name on some logging in background service. Then Sipke's work on his branches, dynamic forms and layout. Then, a good catch. Always use the indexer instead of the add, because if the value already exists, it will throw an exception. This one will just override the value. This is from Nick with the localization branch. This is from Sipke for adding a service to store the IP address of the client in the AuditTrail, and it's an optional setting, optional feature. It's not a feature, it's a setting, but it's off by default because there are some legal restrictions in terms of storing IP addresses. So now you can check a box and to say that you want to also store the IP address when you do AuditTrailing, and it will also work with proxy, as the proxy will usually save the IP address inside a request header, the x414, and you can also customize the cookie value for this, the cookie name for this value, and this is a very user-friendly UI to say that you want to enable this feature. Like we talked about it during 1 hour yesterday, how to make it good. So it can't be better. And that's it. And this is a feature I worked. Oh, Okay. This is don't say anything. This is a feature I worked on based on the feedback we had. So last week on Thursday, we did some triaging for the bugs, and we realized that we were missing a feature for permission management. So let me show you how it works. If it works. The idea is that we might have some. So today there is a way to manage content item permissions with the content item permission part, which will add some settings at each content item level when you edit that. Okay, and we do that because we don't want them to be in the permissions page, because there might be hundreds, thousands of content items, and we don't want to pollute the permissions page. This feature is adding a metadata to a content type, so that the content items of this content type will also appear in the permissions page. And there are very specific usages for that, like the lists, which can appear on the admin, and we might want to restrict each list from being editable from everyone, or for specific roles. Taxonomies, for instance, you might want to be able to manage who can edit the taxonomy. And there are a few taxonomies usually. So this is a new feature. Let me show you. It should work. I don't think I have. So if I'm an admin right now, and I can see my list. Okay, you see my list, but I will log in another window. As an editor. Okay. So file. How do I create a private window here?
Why are you using Internet Explorer?
Because it launched that. Oh yes, correct. I can open this here. And I can use editor. Okay, so you see I'm an editor, and I can do nothing. Well, there is no content to create for me. So maybe we should actually, no, this is to list the content. So I have my list, I can see my list, but if I go back here, and I go to content definition, and I look for list, there is a new property here, Securable. Determines if an instance of this content type can have custom permissions, and this is checked. This is the only one which is checked. So if I go to users, roles, and editor, edit, you will see that the editor can do nothing. But you see, here for the list content type, there is the my list content item. Okay, and I say edit list for others. So the editor can edit lists and then see them because he can edit them. If I disable this permission, save, F5, I can't see my list anymore. So this is for each content item, and in this case for each list. So if you have 5 lists on your menu, you can define who can edit which list. And the idea was that instead of having every module recreate the dynamic permission pattern that we have, it's a more generic solution for most cases. But still, some cases will still need the copy-paste the dynamic permission pattern. Question? It's kind of dangerous though. So someone will check the Securable checkbox on, for instance, the page content item or any content item which has huge number of content items, any content item which has huge number of content items, and it will make the permissions page unusable. So you should be careful when you use that. It's for very specific scenarios, but you will define your scenarios. Asking a question, yeah.
So can you use this to make an uncreatable content type be listed on the permissions page, like, I don't know, blog post. Because this was the initial idea, to make not creatable content types manageable under permissions.
List is not creatable.
Yeah, I get that, but you have a corresponding entry on the permissions page for that MyList content item, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but what about wanting to have permissions for content types that are not creatable? Because that's where we started.
You can do that. They are
Fit
independent.
this option?
Well, you can check Securable and it's not creatable.
Yeah, sure. That was my question, whether you can do that. But apparently you can, right?
Yes, you can. Yeah.
And it will work on the content type level. So you will see blog posts, not specific blog posts.
You will add it on blogs, actually, in this case. This is the question.
You could say blog as well. I just say blog post because that's not creatable as well.
Okay, yes, that will work. As long as we check for the permission, which is the standard Orchard permission, like publish, edit, view. That will work. But for blogs, it's also interesting because list is one case. Blogs, for instance, let's say you have a website with 10 blogs, and only you could want people to only be able to edit their own blog, okay, and not edit the blogs that they don't own. Now you can do that. You just check the box on the blog type, and this will and say that, yeah, and you will be able to do that. Well, actually, you could already.
And is the scenario possible to have the content type listed on the permission page that's not creatable, but not
I see what you
items?
mean. Okay, I see what you mean. I see. So you're right. I should add this behavior, so it also adds it for the content type itself, if it's checked.
Yeah, that's what I
creatable
mean.
or securable. Okay, you're right. Okay, I will add it. Very easy. Okay, thank you. Good.
Yeah, and actually it would be great to also have the option to only have permissions for the content type, not for content items. I mean,
okay, so there will be two metadata. Wow.
Well, I think Securable should be, or that metadata that's called Securable should work like it is today with creatable types on the permission page, but for any content type. And I think we should actually have another metadata for listing content items on the permission page.
Okay, I will think about it. You're right. Yep, there are two levels. I agree. I will rethink that, the UI, like two levels. Good, good, good. Okay, interesting. And that should be it for the changes and my demo. Stanley, you want to do something? To show something?
Yeah, I wanted to show a code mirror integration that I gotten working.
Oh yeah, you're yeah, interesting. You're selling it. Good.
It's in case somebody wants to put it in core. It seems kind of useful to me. So I figure out how to share my screen. Can I not share my screen with the client?
Everyone can.
Oh, there it is. Never mind.
Just have to wait for Benedict. It's always late.
Okay. So I implemented Code Mirror as a flavor for the body. So if you choose HTML Code Mirror, or if you choose Code Mirror itself, as soon as this goes away.
So Stanley, your screen is still loading for me, but it will only take a few seconds.
I see, I see.
Yeah, 2 seconds, Stanley.
I've got it, thanks.
You here? Is everybody here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, cool. So yeah, if you choose the flavor HTML code mirror or the flavor code mirror, which I have an HTML widget here. So for an HTML widget, it enables code mirror as the flavor, which is a lot more, a lot friendlier of a HTML environment. My designers are always complaining. But you get tag completion, auto completion, etc., and it's quite nice.
Why a flavor? Maybe it should be the default HTML flavor.
I didn't want to presume, so I made it a flavor until.
I don't see why you would like to edit HTML without color syntaxing and.
Sure, I just didn't want to presume that I would convince everyone. So the other change was to integrate Code Mirror as the source code editor within TinyMCE. And so here's the default page with Code Mirror. I enabled all the bells of Code Mirror, so it has its mixed mode HTML. Excuse me.
Work.
It's mixed mode HTML. So script type equals JavaScript, and now we have JavaScript IntelliSense here.
Okay, well that's good.
As well as syntax highlighting, etc.
That's awesome, dude.
Yep. So now the question will be, could you try to add Code Mirror in the jQuery?
The way I implemented it, I added Code Mirror as a separate module.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Well, if you do that, what about like because we have Code Mirror in Designer Tools as well.
Right.
Yeah, but that's the first step, is to create a reusable Code Mirror, because if you use it as the default HTML flavor, it's in the standard package, okay? And if you use it in the TinyMCE stuff, it's in TinyMCE, and if you use it in Shape Tracer, it's in Shape Tracing, which means we need the resource manifest for that.
Yes.
Right.
So the question is, do we want a separate module, or do we want to integrate it in one module? And currently, the best match is the jQuery module, which is no more just jQuery. I think there are already a bunch of other stuff. Well, they are all related to jQuery. I'm sure Daniel will say we have the pickers for date and time in jQuery module. I think so. I'm just checking right now what we have in the manifest. We have jQuery, jQuery Migrate, jQuery UI. We have.
As far as I know, Sébastien, all of the stuff that's in there is in the form of jQuery plugins anyway,
Yeah,
even if it's not jQuery itself.
So maybe we need actually a more generic JavaScript module, where we could put knockout, Code Mirror, all the stuff we use in the admin at least.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like an orchard.javascript, like orchard.js or something. Hate that name, but
Yeah, maybe that's time to have a common place to put the script that we use at least in the admin.
yeah.
Modules could use that if they want to rely on that. That's fine. If they want to use Knockout on the front end, they can use Knockout because we use it in the admin too. But at least we will have a common set of JavaScript versions. Script is suggesting also for CSS, maybe. Yeah. So yeah. Let's say for instance, we make Bootstrap more. You use Bootstrap in the admin or somewhere. I don't know. It could be also, I don't know. Just mentioning. But maybe we need a module for JavaScript. Okay. Naming will be important. It could be orchard.javascript. Could be orchard.scripts. Could be no. I don't know.
I would prefer it not be .scripts, just because it doesn't sound quite right.
So please brainstorm on the chat if you want, guys. I'm not sure it should be called JavaScript, because maybe there are some other scripts that we want there, like Script was mentioning, CSS stuff.
Yeah, I don't know.
George is mentioning they have a common scripts module. How did you call it? One-stop.scripts? Admin scripts is interesting because it has scripts which is independent from JavaScript. It also has admin, which shows it's common is also interesting. Common scripts. Orchard.scripts, but we have something. What is we have something called scripting and scripting.C# and scripting.dlr.
Yeah, so, I think it sounds too common with those. That's why.
Yeah, scripting is different than scripts. I agree.
Yeah.
I like the simplicity of scripts. I don't like when there are two dots. Orchard.client.scripts. I don't like it. Or Orchard. Well, we already have two examples: .scripting.C# and .scripting.dlr. But because we have a .scripting, so that could be Orchard.scripts or client admin scripts. Well, you like client scripts. Styles and scripts. I think we should have the styles also in the scripts module. We just want resources. It's like resources. It's yeah, admin resources. That's actually better resources than script because this is actually what we'll do. Resource manifest. So it's a bunch of resources. Interesting. Orchard.resources or yeah, something like that. Admin resources. Maybe because we want to mention it's for admin and. But clients could also use that. I like Orchard.resources. I don't dislike the others. And it's simple. Static resources. Why static resources? Yeah, beautiful static file resources because they are also beautiful in files. Dynamic resources. Okay, so let's go with one name. We can change that. We'll ask you to change it later if you want in the pull request. If we decide something else, we can talk about it on the forum if we don't agree with resources. That's a good compromise. So Stanley, if you wish, you could create this module and put your code mirror inside and do the refactoring, and just do that, and we'll work with you on migrating some of our existing JavaScript libraries to this module. Okay.
Sounds good.
Great.
Thank you, Stanley. Nick, demo?
I'm not sure whether it's ready. I had to switch to a different branch, so I can't demo right now, I don't think. Sorry, dude.
Just some update about what you did and what's new.
Yeah, sure. So I did some work on TinyMCE. I'll tell you what, I'll demo what I can think I've got working, if I can present. Is it desktop? Okay. If this goes horribly wrong, then don't believe me. Tell me when you can see my screen, okay? You see it yet, Benedict?
Still loading.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, thanks.
Yeah, all good. Okay, cool. So I've just cooked an orchard recipe. So what I'm going to show is some of the RTL work that I've been working on this week. Because I've just cooked it, I need to actually enable the modules. So I'm just going to enable the culture picker module, and that will in turn enable content localization. So as we all know, the default site culture is ENUS. That's great. So let's create first a page in ENUS. So this is a test ENUS, and as you can see, this is all normal, all left to right. Test here, test. Oh, that'll be generated for us. So if we hit publish now, you can see that we've got a normal page. I'll open this up in here. Oh, there's a view button, of course. How do I hide this? Normal left to right, lovely jubbly. So let's add another. Let's just hide that. Cool. Okay, so let's add another culture. So we're going to add an Iraq one. What was I using before? Who's got a culture? Arabic.
ARIQ is Iraq.
Thank you. ARIQ. That's the one I keep using all the time. Awesome. So we already have our piece of content, which is left to right, if everyone can remember that. So let's add a new translation, and this time we will do the translation for ARIQ. That's interesting. Okay. So this is the variation. So if I save this, so the problem at the moment is that this isn't switched. Okay, well I'll have to. I'll look at that later. Okay, darn it. Well, that's ruined. That's ruined my my presentation. What I wanted to show. I think I may have to abandon this. Hold on. Let me switch the culture to ARIQ. I got a localization part problem. Okay, cool. So if I create a page, so this is with my default culture as ARIQ, and I do. You can see that I've got right to left on the title and right to left on the body. The big difference is that you've got LTR on the permalink, because permalinks are always left to right, and that's quite important when creating content, because W3C specifies that it has to always be LTR and in English. So we might have some issues with Russian content going forward, but we can look at that. The next thing that I've done is on the front page is I have right to left the theme machine. I've still got issues around whether, because when you create a page in ENUS, for example, and you then view that page in a right to left culture, should that piece of content stay left to right, or should that switch to right to left? I'm not sure how it should differ on the theme machine based on the way it differs in the admin screens. And what I mean by that is, if I'm viewing a piece of content, for example, which is Arabic by nature, so this one is Arabic, and I hit save, and then I switch this to ENUS. All of this here is still right to left. But if I go and view this, for example, in here, you can see that because I haven't published it. Let me publish it. You can see that this is now switched because the culture that I'm viewing in my admin screens is ENUS, because that's the site culture, and the site culture is transferred across the entire site. So if I switch from the admin screens to the theme machine, that's still using the site culture and not the content culture.
Well, that's why we have a culture selector.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what. Because we've got a culture selector, I can add I wanted to do a demo with a culture selector in here, because the culture selector is that you get to add the culture selector to the theme machine. So I'm just wondering whether, even if you view this whole page in left to right, I'm wondering whether, I'm not sure, but the theme machine does work in RTL and LTR. It's just getting whether you're viewing the content in LTR or RTL correct. So that's where I'm at the moment.
This is not a new theme. This is the same theme with RTL class. That's it.
Well, I have the RTL class already on the site, on the document level.
This is the same theme.
Sorry, what do you mean? Because
the new one. This is the existing one updated to support RTL.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, this is exactly the same theme machine to support RTL.
Okay.
So Nick, in the admin, in the admin side of things, what would happen if you select the English US culture for the admin in the admin culture picker, but you edit a piece of content that is localized into Arabic, for example?
This is it.
This is it right here. You can see.
Okay.
Now, the problem I have you saw a second ago that there's a bug with when you create a new translation and you select the culture that you want, it's not changing the editor to be RTL or LTR. So I'll fix that. But at the moment, you can see that if you're editing this piece of content here, at the moment is the site culture. Obviously, it should be the culture that you select. But because this is a new piece of content, it's the site culture by default.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I just think you should, probably this is how you did it, but you should always separate the culture setting of the admin UI from the culture of the content that you're currently editing. I think those should be they should never be mixed up.
Yeah, no, totally, and that's what I've done. The one thing that gets a little bit confusing is, well, you can see already actually. I've got a screen here that's telling me, hey, I'm English United States, but I've got RTL on the right hand side here. So I think what I need is some sort of feedback to say, hey, you are editing this is the language for Arabic in Iraq. So maybe there needs to be some sort of prompt or something, maybe not a prompt, but something to say, hey, this is this version. So I'll add that in as well. But yeah, I mean, that's where it is at the moment. It gets a little bit tricky, but it's cool.
Very nice.
Yeah. Well, what's funky is when you start looking at navigation and things like that. Because I've also done navigation, the widgets one as well. So it's it's quite cool. But yeah, Workflows is a weird one as well. So, but all RTL'd up, so all good to go. Well, not just yet, but yeah, nearly. There you go. That's me.
Great, thank you, Nick. That looks awesome. It's very important because lots of users don't speak English and they want everything in their language. So for non-technical editors, that will be very important. Good.
The interesting there's one or two interesting things around URL generation to do with localization. So like Russian letters and whatnot. We need to maybe review the way we're doing our slugalization or slugification or whatever the term we use. But we might need to review that to make it.
I have some notes. I worked on that at some point. The T delegate is not sufficient for lots of languages like Russian.
Okay.
Because each number, for instance, we have two forms of plural, like the 0 and 0, 1 and multiple. But in Russian, there are like every number is a different form of plural, something like this.
Someone's created a Russian slugify method, so it might be worth taking a look and asking the guy whether we can pinch that logic and push it into a Russian slug or something like that.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Something that we're doing to support a Russian user of ours is there's a process called transliteration, and there's a Microsoft transliteration library that's built in .NET 1.1 But using that transliteration library and a table, the process of transliteration is taking Cyrillic characters and replacing them with their phonetic Latin equivalents. And so we made a module that you could input the transliteration tables from Wikipedia or wherever and get a Latin URL from a non-Latin title.
Do you have the URLs just to one or two of those things on like MSDN or something like that I can
Sure.
look at?
Sure, I can help you out with that.
That's awesome, Stanley. Thanks, man.
Stanley, is that just for Russian or for other cultures too?
You can do it from any language to any language. You just have to find the transliteration table. This is the transliteration utility. It's a very old Microsoft program. It comes with a few Latin characters already built in. But if you use the GUI that's provided in that utility, it gives you a user interface that allows you have to install .NET Framework 1.1, you have to allow .NET Framework 1.1 to work on your machine again. But after you do that, you can use this GUI to create additional transliteration tables. The DLL included, if you send it a string, will convert the letters for you. But from my understanding, you can do this to any character set that's not Latin.
Is it strictly on a character by character basis?
I can show you the transliteration table that we used for Russian Cyrillic.
Because I know sometimes for some languages when you transliterate them, it's more complex than that. Like
It
a
is.
combination of 3 characters becomes one particular character in another language and so forth.
This library lets you do that, but I could not validate whether or not the transliteration table we used was correct. The transliteration table we used was the one on the rightmost column, Passport 2013. So as you can see, some of the Russian letters translate to multiple Latin letters, and that's what we're able to do right now.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay, thank you.
But whether or not it's correct to that language, I don't know. It just avoids having a international resource identifier.
A word before ending the meeting. Ilan has finished publishing all the videos, I assume. I haven't seen one missing.
They're all there. They just need to be organized, and I need your help to coerce our friends to make some edits, and then we'll publish the revised versions.
Okay. Am I missing something? Asia was down yesterday. Did you see?
Oh yeah.
Scott Goosery blog was down for 5 hours.
Oh my god.
Crazy. Okay.
What data center was that? Because we noticed 5-minute downtime on websites.
It depends
Not
on
nothing more.
every data center at different issues. On my side, it was network issues. I could see my machines were up, but I could not request anything. It happens. But the good thing is that usually when it happens, it doesn't happen twice because they apply some other rules that make stuff don't happen again. Great. If this is everything for you, it's everything for me. Thank you everyone for joining. See you on Thursday or next Tuesday. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.